We are in North Carolina on the river. Here we are on a beautiful day, out for a nice boat ride with the Porter clan and the Fertels. Right, Dennis? Say hi.
Hello. We're out here on the water.
We got there Mr. Patrick Porter. We got our captain of the ship, Mr. Alex Porter. Well, for today, we're playing.
If he was named the captain,
you're gonna start off with this one, and you're gonna evolve to that one over there, Alex, the Monroes. U.S. Army. We'll go over here with Cynthia, and the little one's over here, Sophia. Hey, say hi. Cynthia Fertel and Nina meeting the baby. What a great day for a boat ride.
See, like, wave.
Yes.
Let's come over
here.
Because he said it takes about an hour.
Here's Terry.
Here we are,
On a tip.
boating around, having a good time on the river here. Thanks to the Porters. Had a great event. We had close to 70 people at the event. It was awesome. And this is just the start. So it's going to be a great few years ahead of us in relation to spreading the vision that Dr. Porter has and that I've had for a long time and the Fertels have had. We're going to make it work and help a lot of people and be very prosperous as well. So hopefully we'll be sailing up this river many more times with a lot more people in the near future.
That's a good way to place the future.
Course up on the island behind the boats. A couple of people walking towards it.
Look at that, it has guns on and everything.
Okay, here we are at Kitty Hawk. There's some mementos for the Wright Brothers here, some paintings and different things. I haven't yet been to the hill where they flew the plane, but I'm going to head there next. From Kitty Hawk to the moon in 66 years. There's the hill that Orville and Wilbur Wright took the first opportunity, or the first time that they flew an airplane. It didn't work out so well, but they tried it again from a level playing field, and it worked well. But that's history right there. Of course, nowadays, just like this plane up in the sky here, flight is as natural as pretty much walking is nowadays. We're at Kitty Hawk here in North Carolina, and this is where the Wright Brothers used to live, and also where history was made many, many years ago. Getting a little closer to the hill where it all took place. If you are a flight or an airplane enthusiast, then this is definitely one of the meccas of your realm, because this is where it all started from. It's pretty amazing. I'd love to have been here way back in the early 1900s when it all took place. Would have been something else watching these guys attempt to fly the makeshift plane that they created. Would have been something else. Almost at the top here of the memorial dedicated to the Wright Brothers. Achieved by dauntless resolution and unequivocal faith in commemoration of the conquest of the air. area from the monument here. The surrounding area. Right by the ocean. Just gorgeous out there. Okay, I'm back down at the bottom now, looking back up at the top of the hill where the monument for the Wright Brothers is. And as I turn around here, I showed you the side with the ocean before, and this is probably closer to what it would look like when the Wright Brothers were doing their experimentation. Field, lots of field. Over here are the buildings where they have a museum for the Wright Brothers in the background there. And then a little further along is where you can watch a movie of where the Wright Brothers, some of their actual footage that was captured when they were attempting their flights. It's actually a very informative movie and interesting, especially if aviation is of any interest to you, then definitely I would say if you're in North Carolina, it's worth checking out. However, make sure you bring lots of water, a good pair of shoes, because you're going to be walking a lot if you so choose to hike up to the top of that, where the monument stands on top of the hill. And also bring some sunscreen. And maybe even a little towel, because you're going to sweat. It's about, well, in Celsius, it's probably close to 38 or 40 degrees here today. So yeah, it's hot.
No, you're not. To the onion side, what's up there?
Bunch of plaques along the walkway here in the field, and it says the first flight was 12 seconds. Nevertheless, the first in history of the world in which a machine carrying a man had raised itself of its own power into flight. End of the first flight, time 12 seconds, distance 120 feet, December 12th, 1903. Pilot Orville Wright. So I'm thinking that this pathway is probably a representation of the distances. Or maybe not. So you can see from the middle bigger rock up there, that's where they started from. The first flight was at the first rock right there that I just read to you. That's how far they had gotten in 12 seconds. And the second flight would be to this rock here. Or, sorry, oh yeah, it was 12 seconds as well. And that was done by Wilbur. And then 15 seconds for the third flight. "200 feet by Orville. And then way back there, down the field, would be the fourth flight, which would be the longest flight. And the one that would really make the history books, because it went so far and sustained itself in the air. Okay, we're at the fourth marker, the end of the fourth flight, time 59 seconds, distance 852 feet, December 17th, 1903, and the pilot was Wilbur Wright. Whew, made history. Amazing, I gotta tell you, it's hot out here. It must have been just as hot back then when they were doing it. I'm sweating. We'll turn back around and just have one more look at. They first started up on the hill where the monument is, and then the other markers are just where I came from back there and I showed you. And this is the field where it all took place. Hope you enjoyed this. This Wandering Ninja's got to get indoors where it's a bit cooler now. A couple of old sheds here. And it says here that these replica buildings mark the location of the Wright Brothers hangar, left and right quarters of their 1903 Kildale Hills camp. They are established. They also established the camp at this spot in 1901 and 1902.
Let's go to their 4th floor.
No, that's okay. That's fine. No problem.
A picture of the upstairs and where they were sleeping.
He's so serious. Nice window.
That's where they stayed. Right in there. That's where they slept, where they ate, where they rested in between flights. That's where they kept the planes over here, the ones that they worked on.
They started its engine, and Orville and Wilbur exchanged a brief handshake before Orville climbed aboard the machine. At 10:35 in the morning, Orville pulled a pin, was holding the machine in place on its launch rail, went barreling down the track before he reached the point about where that boulder is in the field today. Where he lifted off, he sailed forward with a reduction of speed for 120 feet, and then landed in the sand at a point as high as that from which he started, 12 seconds later. The Wright brothers had done it. They managed to answer their big question. They'd flown. Now, why do I go about telling the Wright brothers story in this way? There are a lot of ways that I can tell you about Orville and Wilbur Wright, about Kitty Hawk, about this flying machine. The reason that I tell the story the way that I do is because I think it makes it pretty obvious why so many other people have failed to fly, including myself. Most other people who tried to fly looked at a big problem, they got overwhelmed by it because they didn't know how to solve it, and then they walked away. The Wright brothers didn't try to solve the problem that they didn't understand. They solved the problems that they understood. They took what they learned and they applied it to that big question that people had had since the beginning of time. As a result, they managed to fly. The reason that I tell the story this way is because whatever your big problem is, whether it's getting through 3rd grade, fixing your car, or curing cancer, you can take a similar approach and hopefully have similar results. And if you do, maybe one day there will be a national historic site